I used to be a console noob, and I don't mean that in a self-deprecating way, I mean a literal pleb. In my gaming infancy, I played whatever my brother bought, Call of Duty, FIFA, anything with a gun or a ball. It was his 360, his PS3 where I done most of my gaming as a kid, and back then that's all it was. Gaming. No settings, no performance modes, no frame rate discourse, you powered on and hoped the disc would work. Looking back now, it's obvious. My brother was a filthy casual, and by proximity, so was I. But things changed. Somewhere between raiding tombs with Lara and wandering around Skyrim at 2 in the morning, I realized there was more to games than just the grind. Red Dead Redemption didn't just entertain me, it slowed me down, made me take in pacing, tone, atmosphere. And by the time the 8th console generation rolled around, I was all in. Physical Xbox games stacked up on the shelf, a library of interactive media, and a future in console gaming. I thought I had it all figured out. Because 60 frames per second wasn't an expectation for me yet, it was a luxury. Could I even tell the difference between 60 and 30? I honestly don't think I wanted to. By 2019 I bought a gaming laptop, not for gaming obviously, it was for college work, you know, editing and whatnot, but come on, no one buys a gaming laptop and doesn't at least see what it can do. It started with League of Legends, you know, I installed League of Legends, got addicted to League of Legends, uninstalled League of Legends when I realized that I had a problem and didn't even really enjoy League of Legends. But something did happen. For the very first time in my life, I was seeing triple-digit FPS, over 100 frames, and that wasn't on a screen trying to convince me this was some great technical achievement. My laptop was absolutely a piece of junk, but it was a PC, and this was Pandora's box. Naturally, I pushed my hardware to its limits, which I eventually found when trying out Dragon Quest XI, which was yet to see an Xbox release at the time, and it ran like a dying animal. 2 hours in, Steam patterned me a refund, and that was the first warning sign. Because PC isn't a universal locked system, video game optimization would vary greatly on aging hardware. By contrast, a PS4 game released in 2020 would still be perfectly playable on your 2013 system. I treated PC gaming like a side thing, mainly for more dated titles I would have missed up until around Gen 7, and obviously delisted games and emulation and whatnot. There was the odd gem like Valorant, which was optimized so well a potato could run it, plus MMOs and stuff like that, but gaming proper I stuck to Xbox, plus physical media still mattered to me, and I would still take a controller over a keyboard and mouse any day of the week. But unfortunately for me, my ecosystem of choice shot itself in the foot. It didn't feel real at first because it was quiet and slow, but Xbox would almost completely neglect their physical games division, making digital ownership via the Microsoft Store the default for Xbox owners not subscribed to Game Pass like myself. And I really hate the Microsoft Store. Without really meaning to, I began playing PC a lot more, and if I'm being forced into digital ownership, Steam has always been the most enticing of the bunch. I summoned my inner patient gamer and took things to the next level, playing through everything I missed from generations past. The hurdles became non-existent on PC as every game ever made suddenly felt within reach. But not only was it convenient, it was financially responsible. When I started this channel, I was editing videos on an ancient, potentially cracked version of Premiere Pro, still using the same laptop from 2019, before it inevitably died. You know, it starts to get slower and the fan gets louder, and before you know it, the thing's overheating every 5 seconds, so you bite the bullet and eventually do what you've been dreaming about for years. A high-end desktop PC enters the picture, and suddenly you realize you won't need to spend ages in every game's settings before playing anymore. Now you can just set everything to ultra and smile. No more low-end slop, no more paid online multiplayer, no more overpriced software. Steam sales are a cultural event at this point. Out of the 50 plus games I acquired in 2025, only 2 of them were Xbox titles and 1 doubles as a PC game also. Realistically, nobody working with semi-decent PC hardware would ever opt for the console version of a game outside of novelty, lack of crossplay, or yeah, that's about it. Why else would someone pay more to play a game that runs worse, has fewer optimization options, and doesn't double as a portable purchase? That's right, don't forget the Steam Deck. My entire Steam library comes with me wherever I go thanks to this thing. Native Play, PlayStation Portal, no Wi-Fi required. What's funny is I mentioned novelty earlier, and I just recently started playing Wii games again. I like the novelty of the 2000s gimmick tech, you know, the motion controls and just being able to collect physical media for something again, but I could enjoy all that way more on PC, paying dolphin prices with no added disc rot to worry about 30 years from now. And I guess that's an uncomfortable truth about PC gaming. It's not just about elitism, it's about comfort. Once you know almost everything runs better, costs less, lasts longer, and gives you more control on PC, every other option begins to feel like a compromise. Oh, I don't want to game at my desk, I don't want to worry about Steam Deck specs, I just want a traditional console experience. These lanes collectively get harder to defend each day, and now with the Steam machine looming back into relevancy, even the idea of a closed plug-and-play console is starting to look less desirable. I believe in gaming wherever the hell you want, I really do, but there's no benefit to me playing a DS game on my DS today, but I do it anyway, because I like the novelty of it. And whilst novelty does matter, it can also fade. The PC versus console discourse has been washed out too. GTA 6 this, 4K gaming that. At the end of the day, Steve Jobs was right. The user experience is important and closed systems offer better overall design, but the trade-off each generation becomes greater and greater. Closed systems only work when what they offer in return is clarity and simplicity, a better experience by default. And for a long time, that's exactly what console gaming was. They earned the trade-off. You paid more, had fewer options, but the deal was simple. It would work. It would be smooth enough that you wouldn't have to think about it, and that same deal doesn't feel as solid anymore. Because now the open option also boots faster, runs better, costs less software-wise, and carries your entire library with it. And still it lets you plug in a controller, play on the sofa, and forget about the settings menu if you want. What used to feel like freedom now feels like headroom, and what used to feel like simplicity now feels like a restriction. I don't think PC killed console gaming for me just because it's open, but because it learned how to be comfortable. That's the real uncomfortable part. Once comfort stops being exclusive to closed systems, once optimization, portability, and convenience are no longer gated behind plastic boxes and paid subscriptions, the argument for consoles stops being a philosophical one and starts becoming purely nostalgic. I still love traditional hardware and turning on a system that only exists to play video games, but I no longer believe that experience belongs to consoles alone, and once you realize that, going back is less about preference and more about settling for less. But that's just my opinion, and I'd love to hear yours in the comments. As always, this has been the Game Burrow, and thank you so much for watching.